Hello, my name is Marilyn Harris, and I'm running for Beaufort County Council District 2, and I'm running to represent you. In our Ladies Island community, it impacts the tax base.
Absolutely.
So many of the people who've been here for generations are already concerned with how they're going to pay their taxes. So we start bringing in extra development, and we put strain and stress on those folks. When we think about things like sea rise and flooding, and the impact on our environment, there are a lot of things we think about. Those of us who live in communities that have public water and public sewer are pretty fortunate. But so many of the surrounding communities depend on septic tanks and well water. And so sea rise and flooding impact them as well, because it's not just what you can see, it's what's under your feet. So when the seas are rising, we're seeing floodwaters, they're impacted in a totally different way.
And they are probably least able to afford the conclusions of that impact.
Well, it's an expensive proposition for a lot of people.
Absolutely.
And so we want to be sure that any growth that's permitted, when we think about permitting growth, when we think about permitting more development, we need to make certain that we're finding a balance in the community so that we don't do any harm to anyone, but that we support everyone in a very balanced way. So I'm glad to know that the County Council has approved a study that's literally titled "What's Under Your Feet."
I didn't know that.
Yes, what's under your feet, and they're studying the impact of flooding and sea rise on families and households that depend on septic tanks and well water. I think that's an excellent
So let
thing
me ask you a question, Marilyn, because I know you always keep up with the budgeting everything, which I think is pretty amazing, that rather than just saying it seems like a good idea to do this, that you delve down and find out where the money's going to come from to make things happen, and that's equally important to your constituents. So what you were just talking about with what's under your feet, where's the money going to come from?
I think I'm right, but I believe the county was awarded a grant.
Oh.
And so there are many opportunities for the county to reach out and ask for grants to pay for studies, to pay for things like that. And really, since the pandemic, there are many more opportunities for grants on the federal level as well as on the state level. And I think we can always do the best we can to look for grant opportunities. Mm-hmm. As a matter of fact, in a recent public facilities meeting, John Rimbaud, who's over all the airports, announced that they had a grant opportunity, and the council approved this grant. I believe it was under $1 million, somewhere between $700,000 and $1 million, of course. And so we want our county administration to always be looking for grant opportunities, always look for ways that federal funds are available to help support some of the things that we need to get done.
So I have another question for you that came up in my mind the other day, because I've been working with the hospital, Beaufort Memorial, on a number of issues lately. So I've met more people and gotten more understanding. And all I can think about is I need to go ask Marilyn, because I'm sure it's something you've delved into before. But there's an interesting dynamic. I also invest in real estate. And all surrounding the hospital downtown are little tiny parcels of land where they might have a small house and then an acre of land, and they're all getting bought up like mad. And I hear that the hospital is doing the buying up because they're looking for some sort of methodology to build or acquire affordable housing for people who work in the hospital. Because doctors now, everybody wants the doctor that's coming out of medical school, right? Mm-hmm. It's hard to get doctors, nurses, technicians that run the MRI equipment, all that kind of thing. So talk to me a little bit about what you would do relative to affordable housing for people like that.
You know, I'm really glad you asked me that question because I've worked, I've done extensive work with affordable workforce housing through the Low Country Affordable Housing Coalition. I was a facilitator for that organization. It had more than 100 members, and they were large businesses, small businesses, bankers, legislators, hospital, the school district administration, nonprofits like Habitat, private citizens, and others who came together to explore what we can do to solve the problem. I don't know if you know that there was a 2018 study that was done and on affordable workforce housing in Beaufort County. And so this organization came together to review the findings of this study. And here's what I've learned and that I can share with you, that everyone recognizes the need for affordable workforce housing, none more than the hospital and the Beaufort County School District, for example. When we are able to recruit the best qualified, some of the finest doctors and teachers and school administrators and healthcare workers, but then they don't want to live here because we aren't able to pay them what it takes to afford to live here. I don't know if you know why it costs so much to live here in Beaufort County, but that's based on a HUD assessment of average income for this area. So because there is a wide income gap,
Isn't it about $77,000?
Right now it's $85,000.
$85,000.
HUD's most recent assessment is that the average income of working people in Beaufort County is $85,000. That average income impacts and influences the rate, the fair market rate for rent. So it drives the rent up. So HUD says if the average income for Beaufort County is $85,000, then the fair market value for rental property goes up to reflect that. And so the problem is the average income isn't $85,000.
No, I think teachers make what, 40 maybe, something like that?
Teachers this year earn $40,000 as starting. And I did some research a couple of years ago, Joan, and you'll appreciate this. When I did some research to see how valid that was, one of the things I learned was two or 3 years ago, the average income for starting income for a teacher was $36,000. It went up to 38, now it's at 40. Well, think about what the rule of thumb is for household expenses and rent.
Oh, yeah,
You shouldn't pay more than 30% of your income on rent and household, right?
Right.
Requirements. So if you're making $40,000 a year, HUD assumes you're making $85,000 a year. The rent is reflective of that. You've already got a brand new teacher that comes in under the poverty level, income level. You know, they're eligible for housing vouchers. I found at the time that I did this research that the highest paid law enforcement officer, that one guy was making $41,000.
Wow.
Not including like the sheriff. Do you understand what I mean? So we got to figure out a way to make housing affordable. I think what the hospital is doing is awesome. They're establishing pathways for low-level employees to grow and earn more money. That's one thing. They've got a project now, I'm told, that they are hoping to help new employees come in by assisting them in paying for housing, you know, helping them with down payments. So they've got such innovative ideas. Some of the businesses in Hilton Head, some of the large resorts, for example, are actually building workforce housing for their employees, and they've got a variety of different things that they're doing. The county is looking to establish a housing trust fund, but in the meantime, the county is also exploring ways to build affordable housing in the areas where it's needed, like around the Technical College of the Low Country, around the hospital. So it's a known problem, and I think it deserves even more attention than it's getting right now. Maybe we should be working with the people who already have permits under planned unit development permits, and seeing if we can negotiate with them to set aside certain housing units at a percentage rate that teachers and certain healthcare workers can afford. I'm not sure what we can do, but I know we need to do something, and I have found that the community is very open to that.
My name is Marilyn Harris, and I thank you for the opportunity to earn your vote and your support.